Hello, my name is Beth Dixon, and I am the Math Lab Technician and work in MBSS 222, the Math and Behavioral Social Science building. And this is a few examples on a two-step equations that involve some simplification or fraction answers or both. And so these are some of the more complicated ones and are just some additional examples in case you needed to see some more. This does not replace lecture. This is not a lecture or anything like a lecture. It's just a few additional examples in case you need to see them. So let's look at the first example I have. And I have 16 equals negative 3x minus 5. Remember, our goal in solving equations is to get the x by itself. And so we always want to find the x in our equation. Notice one of the first things that I notice when I write this one is that the x is on the wrong side of the equation. We like our x's for some reason on the left, and then when it shows up on the right, sometimes it can confuse us. One of the solutions to this is just to rewrite it with the number on the other side. Now I'm going to work this one the way it's written, and then I'm going to show you how we could just turn it around. But let's work it the way it's written first. First of all, finding the x, right there, and then deciding that 5's been subtracted from it. And always we undo the addition and subtraction first. So that 5 has been subtracted. So we want to add 5 to both sides. What we do to one side, we have to do to the other side. And the other side is always on the other side of that equals. So we need to come over here, find the equals. Right, there's the equals. And then on the other side of that, and we'll undo that line there. And on the other side of the equals, we're going to also add 5. Those cancel out. 16 plus 5 gives me 21 equals negative 3x. Now, be careful when you bring this down that you don't lose the negative sign that's up here with the x. It's negative 3x, and we want to be sure to bring that sign down. As we look at what to do next, it's negative 3 times x. We don't divide by the number that's on the left that we see first. We always divide by the number that's in front of the x. So again, find the x. Here's the x. What number is with the x is the negative 3. So to solve for it, we want to divide both sides by negative 3. It's real tempting to always divide by that number that we see first, in this case the 21, because when we solve equations with the x on the left, that's what we divide by. But in this case, the x is on the other side of the equation, and it's not the number that we see first that we divide by. It's always the number that's with the x that we divide by. That then allows us to cancel out those x's, those negative 3's, excuse me. A number divided by itself gives us 1. And notice that we have to divide by the negative 3. Because as we look at this, it needs to be a positive number for our x. And to get a positive, we need a negative divided by a negative to get a positive. That leaves the x by itself on the right-hand side, and then 21 divided by negative 3 gives us negative 7. Now, if we wanted to check this, we can. 16 equals negative 3 times negative 7, subtract 5. Well, as we do the order of operations, we want to multiply first. Negative 3 times negative 7 is a positive 21, and then 21 subtract 5 gives us 16, and since that matches up the other side, we know our answer is correct. Okay, let's look at another, or let me show you this example done or started, and I probably am not going to work it all the way through or talk you all the way through it. I may show you. But let's look on how we could have solved it simply by turning it around. If we wanted to turn it around to put the x on the left-hand side where we're used to seeing it, you're always welcome to rewrite it and move the information on the left to the right and all the information on the right to the left. It's really the same equation. And any equation that looks backwards to you, you're welcome to rewrite it in the other order to see if it looks any better. In this case, we would have then proceeded to solve it the same way. And I said I wasn't going to show you all the steps. I think I'll show you all the steps, but I don't think I'll talk you through them or go through the information about how to check. And then if you need to pause to look at it to compare, you can pause and look at it to compare. Okay, let's go on to the next example. In the next example, we have negative 2 equals negative 9 minus 4x. Now we have some really strange things going on with our signs in this case. And again, I'm going to solve it as is and not turn it around. In this one, even turning it around, we still have some things to watch for with our signs. In either case, remember our goal is to get the x by itself. And since the x is on this side, we want to see what's been done. We do not look in front of the x here. That's the sign that goes with the x. We want to look in front of, the 9 here to decide what to do. We have a negative 9. How are we going to get rid of that negative 9? To get rid of that negative 9, we need to add 9. A negative 9 and a positive 9 is what's going to add to be 0. What we do to one side, then we'll do to the other side. That then allows us to cancel those out. Negative 2 plus 9 gives us a positive 7. And when we bring down this right here, remember what I said about this negative sign. This negative sign right here that negative sign right there in front of the 4x, it goes with the 4. So we have negative 4x. You have to bring down that sign with the x, so it's a negative 4x. The next step is to divide through by negative 4. What you do to one side, you do to the other side. And then in this case, notice that we're not going to get a nice answer on the left-hand side. 7 divided by 4 is not a nice answer. It is a fraction. It does not reduce. Now we could change it to an improper, it is an improper fraction that we could change to a mixed number, but we would prefer the improper fraction unless otherwise we tell you. So we're going to leave it as just negative 7 over 4. It doesn't reduce. They don't share any common factors, so we'll just leave it as negative 7/4. We can write the negative in front or on top. It doesn't matter. You can also come by and I'll show you how to get your calculator to do it. But since I can't show you the calculator in that little empty corner space that we have on these podcasts, we just have to make do with what we've got. Okay, let's look at another example. On this one, we have 7x plus 3 minus 4x equals 12. This is one where we have some simplification to do first. We have two x terms on that left-hand side, so we want to add our like terms in that 7x and the minus 4x. Since they both have x values, we can add those, or in this case subtract 7x minus 4x, and we get 3x plus 3 equals 12. Then we're trying to get the x by itself, so since we have plus 3, we'll subtract 3 from both sides. 12 minus 3 then gives me 9. To get the x by itself, we'll go back through and divide by 3. And that gives me x equals 3. Again, I'm going to leave the check for you to do. You can go back and plug in 3 to check it to see if it works. And trust me, it does. Okay, let's look at another example. This is another one where we have some to simplify. 5x plus 5 minus 2x equals 15. Again, because we had the like terms, 5x plus 5 minus 2x, add the 5x, subtract the 2x, that gives us 3x plus 5 equals 15. Then we're going to subtract 5 from both sides. (3x) equals 10. And then we're going to divide both sides by 3. And again here, 10 over 3 does not reduce. We'll leave it as the improper fraction, 10 over 3. And I wanted you to see another one where we get a fraction answer. Okay, let's look at one last problem in this section, and it is 6y minus 6 plus 4y equals -1. In this case, we're going to get 6y plus 4y equals 10y minus 6 equals -1. To get the y by itself, we're going to add 6. What we do to one side, we have to do to the other side. -1 plus 6 gives me a +5. Be careful here. We don't divide by the smaller number. We always divide by the number that's with the variable. So we're going to divide by 10. And when we divide 5 divided by 10, we don't get 2. We get 1/2. 5/10 reduces down to 1/2. So be careful as you do these to watch your fractions, to watch when the variable is not on the left-hand side, and to watch as you're doing these problems. These are a mixture of some of the more harder ones, some more of the more complicated ones that you had to do from your homework. If you're still struggling and still need some help, be sure to come by and see us. We'll be glad to help you, be glad to give you as much assistance as you need. These are very hard problems, and these are some of the basic skills that you have to have down before that you move on to the 0800 course and the next courses that you will need. We hope this helped, and thank you for watching.